Hi all, welcome back to the channel. I started integrating AI with my application when it came out without understanding any basics of it, and I did a lot of mistakes along the way. Welcome to AI and ML basic video for software developers who are integrating their apps with AI. I recently watched a 51-minute video on Java 1 of Frank Graco, and the video was titled AI and ML for Java developers. It inspired me to create a video of my own. I stripped out all the Java parts so that every developer can relate to it. Whether you code in JavaScript, Python, it will be relevant to you. My goal is to share the things every developer should know before integrating AI/ML to his application. Let's dive into some basics, bust some myth, and give me a few minutes of your time because at the end it will be worth it. By the end of the session, you will know why AI and ML matters, how it works, and whether you should integrate AI and ML with your applications or not. So let's dive in. So let's see why learn basics of AI and ML. We will talk about deterministic and non-deterministic first. As software developers, you are quite familiar with this flow, right? You send an input to some server. Let's say it's a server to server flow. You send an input to some server and you will get a predictable output. So it is quite deterministic, and our mindset is quite set like that. But in case of AI, it is non-deterministic. Let's say you have chatbot app. You are getting an input from user, sending it to AI. Whatever AI is sending back, you're sending the user back. So here is the input, your server is sending, and here is the output you are getting from the AI. So what will happen here is, you are sending whatever AI is giving you back here, and it is not predictable. It can send you back anything. So you might get some governance and compliance issues here. So let's say someone is sending how to create a form to your software app, and your app is replying back. That will get you and your company in a huge trouble. Your software should be quite responsible. You have to use AI very responsibly here, so it won't send any unethical things back. If you are sending something unethical back to a user, it can get your company's image and shares very tough. You have to be quite careful of that. The second point is, you should have some knowledge for whatever you are integrating your software with, right? So let's say you are integrating with a library as a software developer, and you know what is inside your library, how it is working, what error it will give back to you, how it works in success. So you will be writing much stable software with it if you know how it is working. If you don't know how your library is working, you are integrating with some library, you have not read documentation, you're just calling the method, you have not handled errors, whatever it will give you back, then you will be writing very unstable software. So let's not do it. In case of AI is quite a black box. You don't know how it works, right? It is very non-deterministic. But you should know that it is non-deterministic, and you should be able to handle that. So you should know the basics of it. You will be able to write much better softwares with AI, and you will be able to use AI responsibly. And that's what we need. My third point is, learn this stuff to increase productivity. People nowadays talking a lot about AI taking their jobs, right? When you see the video of some organization showing you their model, which is doing the job you are doing much better to you, they are showing positive scenarios. When you use the same model in other scenarios, it will not give you the same results which you are seeing in the video. Don't fear it. Learn this stuff. It will give you a lot of productivity. You can create awesome and responsible softwares with it. To create this responsible and awesome software, so you should know a little bit like how it works about AI, so that you can handle everything in your software and write awesome software with it. And you will be not fearing that your job will be taken by AI, because there is a lot of hype of these models and they don't work like they do in those videos. So you can just understand it. If you don't learn new thing, your job will be gone then. Yes, and if you learn this and use this very responsibly and create awesome softwares, there are higher chances your job will be there. So let's learn it. It's not that difficult. Let's talk about patterns a little bit. Patterns are everywhere. So if you see a star becoming unstable, then it will explode. Then there will come a state of calmness, right? In life, we have the same pattern. After a lot of chaos, there comes a time of calmness. The same pattern we are seeing in stars as well as in our life, right? The same thing happens with bears. How do you think they learn to fish? They see a pattern, right? There are a lot of fishes coming here, so they sit there and hunt for fishes. How do you think in sports offense prepare for defense and vice versa? There are a lot of patterns there also. So Patterns are everywhere in life. You can predict housing prices with patterns. There are a lot of use cases of patterns, and machine learning shines when there are patterns. It is a subset of AI which deals with patterns only. Here comes an interesting quote. One of the most interesting aspects of the word is that it can be considered to be made up of patterns, and it seems quite true if we see everything around us. Let's talk about AI, ML, DL, and Gen AI and predictive AI a little bit, because nowadays when people are talking about AI, they are generally talking about Gen AI only. So they don't know the whole picture of AI. AI is just not Gen AI. AI is a huge field which consists of many things. Machine learning is a subset of AI which deals with patterns. So everything that has patterns can be studied with machine learning, and machine learning quite shines in that part. It deals with patterns with quite grace and will give good results. In machine learning, we have deep learning that has neural networks, right? So neural networks are quite good with complex patterns. They can easily understand complex patterns and can generate or predict something. So generate comes with generative AI and predict comes with predictive AI. So predictive AI has a quite huge market actually. So let's say Uber, right? Let's say it knows when you are going to office and when you are coming back to home every day, and on Saturdays where you are going generally. So it can predict and send you suggestions, right? So it is a very huge industry, and a lot of billions of dollars are generated by this predictive AI. And now there is generative AI which has boomed. So AI is quite huge, and AI is not just Gen AI, as you can see, and Gen AI is subset of deep learning. Let's talk about where can we use Gen AI. Gen AI can be used everywhere where there is pattern, because as we already saw, it is subset of deep learning, right? Which is subset of machine learning. So it can be used anywhere where there are patterns. It can be used in healthcare, it can be used in manufacturing, in creative industries, creating content. You are seeing shorts and reels created by AI. So it can be used there. It can be used in finance. It is used in stock trading also. Many people are using AI to trade in stocks, right? So it can be used everywhere where there are patterns. But specifically, we will talk about software development here. This is the basic software development process. Where do you think AI can be used here? Almost everywhere, right? AI is not just used in code generation only, is what people think. It can be used in story analysis. It can be used in UI mockup generations. It can be used in generation of test cases. So if you see, it can be used in ideation phase also. Development, we already know it is getting used. Everyone knows it is generating code, right? But it is also used in story analysis and everything here. It can also be used in deployment. There are a lot of patterns here. It can also be used in maintenance. You can use Gen AI at many places. Actually, you can use predictive AI also here. You can predict user behavior, as we saw in that Uber example. You can use whole AI in this software development process. But is it replacing you? I don't think so. Software development has lot of boxes to tick, as you can see here. I have left many things here in these boxes, but there are lot of boxes to tick here, and AI can help you everywhere. I want to talk about one more thing here is you have to review everything AI does, because it is not there to replace you. It is there to help you as of now. You should learn AI and be more productive with it. It is quite a meme, don't take it seriously, but previously when we were coding, right, we were coding for 2 hours and we were debugging for 6 hours. But now we will code in 5 minutes using ChatGPT, and we will do vibe coding, which is a new word now. Everyone just accepts whatever ChatGPT or any AI model is generating and adding it to their code bases, and basically they are increasing bugs. That's all. They are spending a lot of time in debugging the bug. But if they have reviewed whatever the code ChatGPT has generated, they will not have to do that. So basically, review every step what AI does for you, even documentation, even the smallest thing, review it, because it will not take much time and it will be beneficial for you for the future. So you don't have to spend much of your time in resolving that bad documentation or bad code or anything which AI does for you. And that will be you using AI very responsibly, and you will be boosting your productivity also. Let's talk about NLP weights and LLMs. Language model came in 1991, NLP came in 1940, but the latest Gen AI hype came after Transformers paper of Google in 2017. So wherever you are seeing Gen AI now is because of this paper written by Google. We'll talk about neural networks a little bit here. Think of it as a data structure which are holding some values. They don't hold 0 bits in the starting because 0 is actual probability, right? So they will hold some random values. Once you are done with training is a way to teach neural network patterns. So you will give it a lot of patterns and it will learn from it, you can say. Not literally learn, but it will change weights of this neural network. So let's say it might look like this. Green has more probability, blue has less probability. If you want to imagine it, imagine that rain coming down and there will be a path which has a lot of water, and there will be a path will have less rainwater in it when it is coming down from the mountain, or it is coming down from the top, you can say. So similar pattern we have here. This has more probability and this has a little bit less probability. So this is just after training. So what training does is basically you are teaching patterns to your neural network, and that training is changing its weights. So you will give prompts to your LLM and it will give you back the completions actually. In the starting, language models were also called completion models. They are deprecated now. Now we have chat completions models which are trained on human conversations, and it will give much better results, or we can say much better completions to your human starting text. So prompt is a starting text which will be completed by your LLM, but your LLM's behavior will be hugely influenced by your prompt, and your prompt will not change any weights of your neural network here. It is just steering the behavior of your LLM. One more thing I want to talk about is LLM is not a search engine. So I have seen people using LLM as a search engine. They are not searching on Google now. They are directly searching on ChatGPT or Grok Chat, and they think they will get good answers. But let me tell you, LLM is not a search engine. It is just a pattern recognizer. It is very good with patterns. So it has a lot of data patterns, right? That's why it is giving you back the results. But use search engine in place of search engines, and you can use LLM with search engines. Like we have Perplexity, right? It uses LLMs with search engines. You can use that, but don't use your LLMs as search engines, as search engines will give you much better results. But an LLM is just a pattern recognizer. It has data patterns and it will give you results based on that. Let's talk about hallucinations. Hallucination is quite an interesting topic, and let me tell you hallucination by example. Let's say you're giving your code to ChatGPT and you are asking it for optimizations, and it will give some method that it has this error and solve this, and that method doesn't exist in your code. That is a hallucination. So it is a way of AI to give something very confidently back to you that do this where that thing doesn't even exist. Let's say you are asking something from history and it is replying you back, and that thing doesn't even exist and not even is there, and it is generating random people and random scenarios. That is hallucination. Our goal as AI and software engineers are to reduce the hallucinations in our app. So you should also be able to handle hallucination to create a responsible app. If you handle the hallucinations, your software will be much better than if you are not handling hallucinations. So that's why you should learn this stuff. Like you should know that it is generating hallucinations, so I have to handle that. So if you learn it, your software will be much better. So let's talk about prompts a little bit more. As you know, prompt steers the behavior of your neural network without changing its weights, right? The sequence of tokens in your prompts determines the result. Some people like to call it prompt engineering. There is a huge discussion on it that it is not prompt engineering, it is prompt technique. Because engineering is something which solves problem under some constraint, right? Prompt engineering, we are just writing prompts. So many of people doesn't agree with that it is prompt engineering. It is not engineering is what they will tell you. So let's call it prompt techniques, and let's see the basic structure of a prompt. So a good prompt will have all these things. It will have some context, then it will have some examples, and it is not needed in reasoning models. So you will be hearing a lot about new kind of models. They are reasoning models. They are very intelligent, right? And they think. They say that machines are thinking, That's why it's taking a lot of time for reasoning model to respond, because they are thinking. Basically, it is not thinking. They are using some algorithms which are taking time. Machine doesn't think. Okay, you don't have to give examples here because of chain of thought technique. We will discuss it about later in this section. The next thing, you should have some input, and you should give what type of output you want back from the LLM. So you will tell how I want this in JSON format, I want this in this format, that format. So you also put this in your prompt, and that will be a good prompt for you. Let's see some of the basic prompt techniques. So these are not all the techniques. I am discussing the general ones which you should be aware about. So this is zero shot, which is very simple. You will just give the task, no examples, nothing. You will just give the task and it will give back you the results. So that is zero shot. The next one is few shot. Unlike zero shot, you will give some examples to guide your model to a better output if you are not able to get it by zero shot. So you can use few shot after your zero shot. The next one is chain of thought. This is the basis for current reasoning models. Actually, you will break tasks down into smaller problems and try to solve it one by one, and you will solve the bigger problems. So this is the most hype technique as of now. As you can see in this example also, he has given a question and he has given the example also how the answer came, and he is asking another question after giving this. It will help model algorithm to come to a right conclusion. Very interesting thing here, there is a study done by Stanford that LLM is very bad at negation. If you are writing some prompt like this, don't do this. LLM doesn't understand it very well. So instead of writing negation in your prompt, try to write do this. It will be better prompt for your LLM, and it will be able to generate much better results than the negation prompt. Let me tell you how context helps your LLM. So the previous example we saw, right, how prompt is steering the behavior. Let's see context with prompt. So as you can see here, our probability cloud. So let's say the probability cloud, it's much wider here. The more precise your context is, it will tighten this probability cloud and will give you much precise results. But if your context is much wider, in some cases, which is good, it will give you general results, which is also good in some cases. So based on context, your probability cloud of your neural network will change. So your context is important with your prompt in steering the behavior of your LLM, and will influence the completion what you are getting back because of this probability cloud. Let's move on to context and RAG. As we already saw how context is actually increasing or decreasing the probability cloud of your LLM, right? So let's say you want to ask a question from a book and you are giving the whole book as a context. It is waste of tokens, right? Let's say you want to ask some precise question, right? Let's give some context which is nearby that question instead of giving the whole book, which will give you the much better results basically. So this is what RAG does. Actually, RAG is something given by Facebook, and it is very good in fetching similar context to your query, which will give you much better results instead of wasting a lot of tokens. So this is the basic RAG architecture. Here, this is not the full architecture. There are a lot of sophisticated architectures, but they are created on top of this one. As we already discussed, it is an intelligent way of getting the context, right? So what happens here is, the same thing happens. We are giving prompt to LLM only, but the context we are giving enhanced here. How we are doing is, we are getting all our PDF. So let's say in the example we talked about that book, right? So the book is converted to chunks here. Chunks are also big and smaller chunks, which affects the results actually. So what we are doing here is, we are doing similarity search. So we are searching for data which is nearby our prompt, is what we can say. So let's say if you want to imagine this, so to imagine vectors, let's say you imagine RGB, which represents a color. So you can go to nearby color, right? The nearby RGB, and you will find they are much similar. So the same thing happens here also, but it is more than 3 dimension. There are a lot of dimension. We cannot imagine it, so we use math. That's what happens here. It does a similarity search, and based on that, we will get the similarity data of our prompt, and that context from this book, only similar context which was to our prompt, or you can say nearby to our prompt. All the data which is nearby to our prompt in this PDF or in this web or in the text, anything, I'm talking about PDF because that was the example, right? So the nearby data to our prompt is here, and then it is added to the context, which will make this context enhanced, and then we are giving this to our LLM here. The LLM is feeding this enhanced context, and which will give you much better completions if you are giving the whole book. So you can see here, this is basic architecture of RAG, right? There are much more better architectures of RAG after this, which will reduce your hallucinations. So if you understand this little bit architecture, which is very simple, right? If you see it, all the RAG architectures are created on top of this one. This is the basic, this is the RAG 101. If you understand this, you will be able to understand them also, and you will have a basic idea of RAG. So let's talk a little bit about chunking here. Chunking was here in this part. We will only talk about big chunks and small chunks. So this is basic we are talking about. We are not talking about the strategies, whole strategies. You can have big chunks and small chunks, and it will affect your completions. How it will affect is, if you want to know something broader, right? It is seen that if you have smaller chunks for broader question, it will hallucinate a little bit more. So if you have a broader question, you should have big chunks, and if you have a very precise question which you want a completion for, you will have a smaller chunk. It will give you much better results on the smaller chunk. So because of this, you should have dynamic chunking. So there are RAG architectures which are dynamic chunkings. Let's talk about LLM knowledge update. So previously you were saying in your ChatGPT that if you ask today's weather and your LLM has only knowledge of let's say last year, it was not able to give you that, right? Now it is possible because of RAG. So it will get your relevant web data and it will give you answer, or you can say completion. So now because of this, LLM knowledge update can happen more frequently than your full model update. So it is an advantage here. So as everything is evolving, RAG architectures are also evolving day by day, creating more sophisticated architectures and reducing the hallucinations and putting context in very intelligently. I want to talk a little bit about the stateless LLMs here. So what people think is LLM is not stateless, it is stateful. So what happens here, when you let's say call your ChatGPT chatbot, right? You will message something, it will send a REST API, it will contact to LLM, which is stateless by the way, and it will give you back the results. When you're saying another message, it knows the previous context, and you will think that LLM has my context, LLM is taking care of the context, but it's not like that. What happens is your messages are sent as a single context. All of your messages are sent as a single context to your LLM, so that it will know the previous context and give you much better results. So LLM is stateless. Don't think that they are stateful. They are stateless, and this is how they are giving your whole context to give you better completions. So let's talk about, should you use AI in your project? So you should not always use AI in your project. So if you think there is a use case of AI in your project, you should use it, otherwise you should not. So let's see this flowchart. If you want to do some task and if you want to integrate AI for it, let's see if it has high risk, right? If it has high risk and you will be able to cope it, then it's okay. If you are not able to cope it, this is a very high risk and you cannot put your company at high risk, you should not use AI. If it is a very sensible thing, you should not use AI because it can hallucinate. Even if you are using AI and handling everything, there are chances that you might miss some things and that can go very wrong with your organization. Then you should not use AI. If your task is something about patterns, then use AI. If your task is not about patterns, then don't use AI. So let's say you have ticked both of these boxes. You are able to handle the high risk and then your task has patterns. Then use AI, but put a review layer. So there should be some layer which is seeing whatever response your AI is giving back, because as we already talked about, it is non-deterministic, right? If you review it, if it is good, then you will accept it, and if it is not good, you will reject it. You will have to be very responsible here, because AI should be used very responsibly, and if you are generating something unethical, then it will be a problem for you as well as your company's reputation. So you should be very careful here in this review layer. You should be knowing basics how AI will behave, so that you can handle maximum of things AI will do, and chances of doing something unethical are pretty less. So after seeing this, you can say that you don't have to use AI every time in your project. Every project you create should not be using AI or having AI in it. People sometimes talk about these new things. Let's say when blockchain came, everyone was talking about blockchain, right? They want to integrate blockchain in everything. Every solution should be thought in perspective of blockchain. So it's not like that. You should not go behind hype, and you should go behind quality software. So you have to not forcefully integrate every hype in your project. If you are creating a software without AI now, which is good, then create that software. You don't have to forcefully integrate AI in your projects. So with this, we have come to the end of this video. So let's talk about the AI hype. So AI has a lot of hype. As we already talked about, people are thinking about AI is taking over and will take over every job, and government will give basic salary to everyone, and everyone will lose their jobs. Everyone is fearing. We should not fear AI. Whatever you are seeing in those videos are purely hype. They are positive scenarios. When you use AI, when you learn a little bit about AI, you will know that it's not giving that good results in every scenario which it was giving in that video in that positive scenario. As this meme suggests here, only one way to keep your job is to use AI to do your job better. Human plus AI will always be greater than AI, because AI needs a review layer. You cannot put AI directly to do any job. So AI will always need a review layer. Even with the self-driving cars, as you can see, the driver should be there, right? AI is driving it, but driver should be there. So you are still in the driver's seat, but you are reviewing, and yet that review layer will always be there. Instead of fearing that AI will take your job, you should try to learn it and boost your productivity, create good and awesome softwares that you can only do if you know how it is behaving and handle everything. As we already talked about, you should know the thing you are integrating with, how it is working, how it is behaving, and that will make your software also a little bit better. The second thing, AI ML is evolving. Security, compliance, and performance will get better over time, which is true. Everything evolves with time. So as AI, you will see the new model coming, and the stats which we see are much better. I will not advise to fully look at stats, because they are there to generate hype, right? The third one is advice should have to learn basics. This we already did, right? So do not fear from AI. Create your basic rack systems. Try to learn from it. As we are all smart people, if you learn the basics and if you go ahead and ahead, you will be able to create much better softwares, as we already talked about. And you will be able to boost your productivity also and create awesome and responsible softwares. So do not fear from AI. Learn AI, as it will be better for you and your job. Be it not AI, be it anything. If you don't learn new things, your job will go. So try learning it and using it, and you will be much better productive, I promise. And you will be create much better softwares, and it will be good for you and your company as well. So as you can see, these videos take a lot of time and efforts to make, right? So if you like this video, share it with your friends who are software developers and integrate AI with their applications and don't know the basics. Share it with them. Comment on it. What are your thoughts about it, and how you are using your AI responsibly in your organization or in your personal apps, and subscribe to the channel. So thank you, and happy coding. See you next time.